Hello and welcome to this chess video. I'm Grandmaster Ingvar Jóhannesson from Iceland, and this video will be dedicated to Yuri Averbakh, the Russian Grandmaster who has his 97th birthday today. So he is indeed the oldest living Grandmaster. Now, he was a very strong player. He became the Soviet chess champion in 1954. And he also tied first in 1956 with Boris Spassky and Taimanov. Incidentally, his daughter Jane would later marry Taimanov, so chess-related ties in that family. He also qualified for some candidates tournament. He played in the very famous candidates tournament in Zurich in 1953. So a very strong player. Also, he was a renowned author, several studies, and he was one of the authors of very famous endgame books called Comprehensive Chess Endings, a 5-volume set on endings, which was, well, back in the days, sort of the Bible for many chess players. He is also the author of a variation against the King's Indian called the Averbakh variation, of course, after him. And before looking at the game I want to look at today, where he played against Vladimir Zak with the white pieces, a quick look at the Averbakh variation, which is on the white side of a King's Indian. So we get the King's Indian here after e4 and d6, and here white delays the development of the knight on f3 and plays bishop to e2. After castles we can still transpose to the classical, the most common variation, but bishop g5 is the Averbakh variation. And saving the knight here enables you on some lines to play g4 immediately. And sort of the dream scenario that you can get out of the Averbakh is what I have called the Averbakh wedge. I made a video on this many years ago on chessvideos.tv, and I'm sure I will make a pattern recognition about this. But the Averbakh wedge is basically after h5. You can't allow the h file to become open, so you have to play g5, and this is a very advantageous position for white. You can castle, or you can bring your king here, and then you can maneuver your knight to the g3 square eventually, maybe like this. And from g3 you can enter f5, a square that you own. Black can come into this square, and then you will slowly but surely advance on the queen side after swinging your rook over and setting up. And meanwhile black almost is without counterplay. A very advantageous position for white, but of course there are many other lines, and I think the Averbakh is a good line. I've played it myself. But today we're going to look at the game against Vladimir Zak, and this was played in 1947. Pretty long time ago. And this is a match for the Masters title in Moscow. And Averbakh opened with e4. We have e5. The Ruy Lopez, bishop to b5. White castles, and black goes for the open Ruy Lopez, open Spanish. Takes on e4. We have the main line d4, b5. The bishop moves d5 by black, and white regains the pawn. Bishop to e6, protecting d5. This line featured in a World Championship match between Kasparov and Anand, among others. Kortsnum was also a big fan of the open Spanish. Ivan Sokolov comes to mind. And these days Mamedyarov is playing the open Spanish. And you will actually find games very similar to this one. Mamedyarov against Topalov against Mamedyarov, and Carlsen against Mamedyarov. I will link to the Carlsen game, which will then link to the Topalov game if you're interested in this line. In those games, rook e1 was played, but it comes out very similarly after knight b to d2, takes, and queen takes. And we get almost the same kind of attacking setup that we saw in those games. Knight to a5 and bishop c2. And white decides to chuck this pawn. He plays, allows knight c4 and plays queen to d3. We're threatening mate here. Black prevents it with g6, and now instead of bishop c1, which would well keep the pawn, we see a very aggressive move here by Averbakh. He plays bishop to h6. Black takes on b2, hitting the queen, but now the queen relocates to e3, and the rook gets out of the way. And white moves in, knight d4. The plan is simple: f4, f5, shachmat attack. He wants to attack the black king. Now, the natural move seems to be to play c5 and kick the knight away. However, that does come with dangers, and white seems to have a pleasant choice. You can take on e6 and play queen g3, and you see that we're starting to attack pretty dangerously. Black would have to play bishop f8 and defend. The other choice is to play knight to c6, chop off the bishop on e7, and great domination on the black squares. And this looks like a very daunting task to have to defend this with black. I don't think many people would fancy this position for black, even though black is up a pawn. Bishop d7 might be the best move, preventing knight c6 and playing c5 next. In the game, however, Vladimir Zak played queen d7, which looks natural. Same idea, to play c5. But it seems that it's too slow because white can now play f4. Zak played knight c4, trying to get the knight closer to his defenses, but you're also helping the queen to a better square here on g3. And now he plays c5. If the knight retreats and black is in time, he can maybe just play a move like bishop f5, shunt this bishop, maybe even knight d3 is a strong move. So white has to act fast, and he does indeed, and he plays f5. So a piece sacrifice. Black takes on d4, but we don't have to sacrifice a piece actually. We can take on e6. The problem with that is that black would be well fortified, and we'll probably just take with the queen. And now this is being attacked. Probably have to play a move like this, and we probably have a compensation for a pawn here. But Averbakh had different ideas, and he made it a real sack by taking on g6. F takes g6. Now we can't allow white to take here, so h takes g6. But now another piece sacrifice. Bishop takes g6. And yeah, you can't take. This will be over pretty quickly. Actually, very quickly. So after bishop takes g6, Vladimir Zak played king to h8, and here the only move that wins instantly. Can you spot the winning move for white here? Crowning an excellent attack, having sacrificed the knight on d4, the bishop on g6, although it was not taken. We now sacrifice a third piece, bishop to g7. Very nice and forcing move. Zak took on g7, but if he plays king to g8, declining the sacrifice, then we have bishop takes f7, insisting on sacrificing this bishop, and then bishop f6, and mate will follow on g7. So in the game, Zak took on g7, but then bishop takes f7, discovered check, king to h8, queen g6, threatening mate with queen to h6. And this is very hard to meet. If you take here, I will take with the rook, and now I have two checkmates, actually the third one here. You can't defend them all. In the game, black played bishop to f8, but of course this cuts off the rook from protecting g8, and queen g8 checkmate ended the game. So a very nice game by Yuri Averbakh, and happy 97th to the world's oldest Grandmaster. I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.